not know her, please meet her, okay? Those films that I see are absolutely inspiring, which is the reason why I am in this business, period. Shelley was saying that the first couple films we saw, those are the filmmakers of tomorrow, but those are truly the filmmakers of today. Mark Osborne, I mean, from 10 short years, from 1998 to, when did Kung Fu Panda come out? 2006? 2000? Yeah. I mean, from that to making the highest budget films that you can make, period, is phenomenal. So, I'm happy to be here. Animation in India, Technicolor India case study.
Nothing on screen.
What? Nothing on screen. Hold on one second. But I will say that that slide is uninspiring, and it is extremely boring title. So we'll just talk a little bit about animation, a little bit about India. I'll introduce myself. Great. Now I see people in sports coats here. What do they do? How many people are directly in animation? How many people are stakeholders in the future of animation in India? Fantastic. Okay. Just a little bit about me. For the past 9 years, I've been saying that I've been in animation for 10 years, until I was sitting with a small group of animators and they asked me, exactly when did I get into animation? Then I look back and I'm like, oh, I've been in animation for 19 years. So maybe I've wanted to stay young, or I'm dating myself, but that has just made me realize how much fun I have had and how quickly the time has passed. And did I ever think that I would end up in India through that path? Absolutely not. And am I happy about it? Beyond belief. But why India is the true question. So, well, let me step back for a second. As I started in CG in 1992, I saw shows come out like Reboot, first CG television series, Toy Story, the seminal movie, CG movie, the first one that everybody could say, oh, that's what can truly be done with CG animation. And that was the true inspiration for me wanting to stay in computer animation after having done cell animation and stop motion animation. So when I arrived in India, that's where I felt that passion again. So the question is, why? It has to be the passion of the founders of the Indian CG community. If you think, how many years ago did it start, Beren? 15?
Yeah.
How quickly and how far it has come, right? It's just absolutely spectacular. You mentioned co-creation, and that's actually why I came here from DreamWorks. It was for co-creation. It was not for this word outsourcing. I walked into a facility hosted by Technicolor India, the DreamWorks dedicated unit, and met a group of 8 artists, one of which is in this room right here, Ashok Kumar. Thank you very much. We sat together, and what I realized is the drive and the industry, how India was able to create its own niche and expand in that niche, and now moving into the content creation with the stuff that is coming out from DQ, Crest Animation with a major Western release. It's just absolutely spectacular. Technicolor India, for that matter, being the main provider for the #1 television network for animation in the world, Nickelodeon providing their own television shows, period. It's just phenomenal. So, sorry, I'm going to use some notes here. This specifically, this is my favorite slide, why I'm in the industry. The creativity, the ability for the artist to be able to do whatever they want, whenever they want. It's just inspiring. So, this slide says leap of faith, but really what it is taking the leap. Technicolor India is one of the first multinational companies that have set up their shop. here in India in animation, strategically. So to make, sorry guys. There we go. That's fantastic. Yeah, leap of faith. So Technicolor India, not only did it decide to come to India, it had looked all over. Just as DreamWorks had looked all over the entire world to decide where to set up shop. It decided to come to India for the reason of creativity, the balance of cost, the balance of productivity, the balance of delivery. For Technicolor India specifically, it was the ability for us to say, this is going to be our strategic animation and gaming hub. We do animation and gaming here only. Everything goes out to the world from India. Coupled with MPC's commitment to make India a huge portion of their visual effects studio. Adam was talking earlier about making their studios seamless, which is absolutely phenomenal. So it's no longer an outsourcing situation. It is a completely seamless situation where one studio is working for the next, one artist is working to the other. When I saw that little screenshot of this little web page that said I could click on that shot and talk to my artist in Vancouver, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So, where's Technicolor India going? And what does knotted mean? Knotted to me means deep relationships. Deep relationships with very few customers of the highest order. So when you say you're in an outsourcing situation, you say, you have 150 clients. I could never manage 150 clients. Who knows? You're doing jobs of this scale, that scale, this scale. I can't do that. We want to work with the best clients ever. And we've decided to do that. So it's high-end selective work rather than work for hire, right? Certain minimum costs to do world-class projects. So this is not the cheapest place to do animation anymore. But it's a more mature place to do animation. The artist community is developed, the technical community is developing. So what we like to say at Technicolor India is that we have very special relationships with these few clients. Nickelodeon, Electronic Arts, the DreamWorks dedicated unit, MPC, whom we own. It's just a very key focus as we move up the value chain. Footsteps to the Future. It's a bad Keith Richards song, I believe, from the 1970s. But what is the next thing? I mentioned DQ, I mentioned Crest, I mentioned Prana, there's Crayon. There are people that are pushing to the forefront of the animation industry along with us. So what will it take to go there? Just as Shelley was showing the MacGuff film made in France. It needs to be the universal concepts. It needs to be the universal designs. It needs to be the universal humor. So that's where we want to go. That's where I see India going. That's where I see us hitting the mainstream. So if we can continue to move in that direction, which is the main reason why I came here, it's going to be a phenomenal place. Back to the DreamWorks experience, when I showed up here just 2.5 years ago, right? It was a motley group of artists all brought together to deliver a feature film project in 8 months. And everything succeeded. So the question is not, it's not what level you can actually deliver, it's what type of project you can actually conceive and start on. So if you can work at the highest end, which the Indian artists and technicians have proved, and the producers and the business people can bring in those projects, then you can deliver with whatever type of film that you so desire. Stereo. Major stereo releases. It's a part of our future now, or it's a part of our present. So Technicolor India has been working in the stereo realm, having delivered special venue films, and continuing to work with the Technicolor Corporation through its distribution and ability to see stereo from inception all the way through to the marketplace. So this is an area that I think needs to be explored more within the Indian market and needs to be exploited. So we need more screens that show 3D in this country so we can learn how to become the masters of it. Now Technicolor. How big is our business in India, Technicolor Digital Productions? How much a part of the overall Technicolor group are we? Percentage?
2%.
2%, right? Technicolor is a $5 billion company. And I can't read all those things that we do, but it is everything. Film processing, digital dailies, 3D services, visual effects, animation, post-production, broadcast and editorial. So all these things that we do, if there is a strategic opportunity for us to do it in India, Technicolor will. That's really, truly the commitment that they have made to the Indian country. So the key thing is by saying that we are the strategic hub of animation and gaming is only opening up Technicolor to bringing more businesses into the country, which I think is an amazing thing. So then what's next? Shelley was showing some fantastic films. What's going to happen? So we've seen traditional 3D. Despicable Me, super cool. Kung Fu Panda, absolutely fantastic. But what can we create that's different? We need to mix up the medium. We need to show stuff and see stuff and give stuff to the general audience that they haven't seen before. But the story has to be, again, universal, right? Everybody in this room loves films like Kung Fu Panda and Despicable Me. So we need to present the world something like that from this country, and I know absolutely that we can do that. We need to consider groundbreaking projects. So, and I consider groundbreaking projects like The Matrix. That was a great movie, right? Inspiring, inspired a lot of copycats. Avatar in 3D, right? So they really demonstrated, or James Cameron really demonstrated the mastery of that medium. Of course, Toy Story, which I mentioned before. So what is next from this industry and what's next from Technicolor India? Best balance. Why we're all here. So just to reiterate the fact that most companies like Technicolor and DreamWorks did not come to India because of the low cost advantage, which it's not anymore, period. And it's not about the personnel and cost per hour, but it's the right balance between the cost, time, delivery, and creativity. That is the key point that I wanted to reiterate. But I also just wanted to say proudly that as we move forward at Technicolor India, working on our own intellectual property, following along and becoming peers with some of the other leaders in this industry, we are extremely happy to be here, and I know our commitment is long-term. So I'm going to keep this short. Thanks for letting me start and stop a little bit. And do we get to enjoy a little bit of lunch right now?
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks, everybody.